In sports, if you want to be the best, there are no off days.
Well, look who is back on the No Off Days podcast.
Am I back?
The guy that takes all the off days, Chris Cato.
You've taken a vacation before.
I guess.
It's been a while.
Yours was a staycation, so you really had no excuse.
Trust me, what I was doing when I was off, I'd rather be here with you in this studio. That's how painful
I
it
guess
was.
something. Welcome into the No Off Days podcast. Yeah, last week Sean Barry did a great job filling in for you, but there's no replacing Chris Cato. But while you were gone, I feel like a lot of things transpired from the NFL and the coaching circle and cycles to, of course, college football and the big national championship game. We're going to get into that in just a moment, but your overall thoughts on what kind of game we watched on Monday night.
I thought it was a great game.
Yeah.
I was a little worried the way Indiana had mauled Alabama and Oregon that it could get one-sided, especially if Miami made the kind of mistakes they made in their game against, Ole Miss. But it turned out to be a great game.
It was. I think Miami has a lot to hang their hat on. I mean, they played Indiana as tough as any team played them this year. And if not for the one turnover in that game, too, I thought going in, it was like, okay, here's an Indiana team that makes no mistakes. Here's a Miami team that has been prone to kind of trip itself up a little bit. But they didn't really do that. I mean,
not until the last throw
not
by
until
Beck.
that last throw by Beck. Yep. All right.
That block punt was huge, though.
It was. They do that. They did that every game. I mean, you had to be preparing for that. Let's bring in BK. Brian, I was told that you had to set an alarm for the national championship because it wasn't even on your radar. You were snooze fest, man.
My season ended January 1st.
Oh.
No, I can't. I just wasn't into it for some reason. I mean, I was into it. I mean, of course, national championship, but I didn't get caught up in the pregame. I just was doing other stuff, and then 7:30 flipped it on. But it was a great game. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It was kind of dragging at the first, but.
I don't know how Reuben Bain isn't the number one pick in the NFL draft.
No
I mean, I know
kidding,
Mendoza will probably go, but man, that guy is just a game wrecker.
He's good. When we had our college caravan, old BK and I got an opportunity to hang out with what will now be probably two top 10 draft picks in Francis Maui Noah and Reuben Bain.
Yeah.
I snapped a little picture between the two guys. Maui Noah wasn't really into it, you could tell, but Reuben gave me a nice smile, which was nice. So, what a season for both those teams. But hats off to the Indiana Hoosiers.
Yeah, it's still hard to believe, isn't it?
BK, it's a different time in college football. It is. I mean, I don't know what's the next Indiana.
That's a great question. I mean, it is the.
Troy,
I guess you can buy Troy Trojans. Let's go. You can clearly. I just don't know if anyone else can do what Cignetti did. But, I mean, obviously, Texas Tech making the playoff for the first time. We know that they bought the best roster they could buy. And so I think that's the model for a lot of these programs now. So I look at a school who has a lot of billionaires and a school that's had some success in the past in football, and maybe it's Stanford.
Yeah,
I mean,
maybe the high academic standards, I think, is going to be a little bit of a gatekeeper. But, I don't know, man. It's there's a leveling of the field, and for as bad as our preseason picks were, and we missed a whole bunch, I think it's only going to be becoming more increasingly difficult to try to peg who those teams are.
Oh,
because of the portal and all that. It's like we don't even so many moving parts, and we're not even sure what we got.
I didn't tell you the worst part. I would not have had to show up to work today if Miami had won, because before the College Football Playoff Selection Committee picked Miami, I took a little $10 flyer on Miami winning the national championship.
Wow.
Yeah, and at one point, the Hard Rock was offering me, a decent amount to cash out, and I said, I'm going to let it ride. I was that close. Close. You're
not going to give us. Nobody listens to the podcast.
Yeah, they
just
do.
Tell us.
My mom does. I don't want her to know I'm gambling. Goodness.
All right.
Cookie would be ashamed.
Earmuffs. All right. BK, what do we have on today's big show?
Well, a good show tonight. We're going to talk with Nick Shook. He's a prominent writer, analyst, podcaster for NFL.com and the NFL Network. Talk to him, get his thoughts on the playoffs. We're conference championships now.
Goodness.
Final four.
It is.
Final countdown.
And then I'm really looking forward to this. Grayson Cole, he's going to be joining us. He won a couple weeks ago, I think. Professional bull rider. We'll get his thoughts. What's it like to ride a bull?
Yeah.
Have you ever been to a bull riding event?
I have. I was a kid, and we went to. It was a part of a rodeo, but yeah, I've seen it up close.
I've seen it up close too.
Those things are massive.
It's insane.
Yeah.
There's absolutely just sitting on it. There's no way I would do that. Just in the little
Snarling.
pen.
Maybe we can ask Grayson how they get the bull so riled up.
Yeah.
I saw up
Well,
close
how do
how
they
they
have to
did
do
it.
that?
I don't know. I'm sure he'll tell us.
What's the mechanism by
Probably
which you
just-
would
I don't know.
irritate?
They'd probably show him some mean tweets or something.
Oh, yeah. That's
Same
it.
way we get you riled
Yeah,
up.
triggered.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I'm Buckin. Okay. And then at the end.
Hey, we're going to play the percentages. Remember that game we did a while back?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We'll crank that up again. Do some percentage games.
All right. Very good, BK.
Thanks,
Catch
man.
up with you momentarily. If you're listening and you want to watch, go to fox13news.com/nodpod. If you're watching and you want to listen or subscribe, you can take your phone and zap that QR code on the screen. Head to our show page. We also ask you, if you'd like to engage us, feel free to leave a comment on our YouTube channel. That's probably the best way to recommend any new bits, any things, any questions, any comments, concerns, and then we ask you maybe possibly leave a 5-star on iTunes. Please subscribe, fox13news.com/nodpod. All right, back to the national championship. So what a game it was. Actually came down to the final drive there. Carson Beck and company moving on the other side of the 50, and they are in range to potentially have the go-ahead touchdown. You know, I thought a couple things leading up to it. The play calls by Indiana down the stretch were interesting. You know, for one, they went for it multiple times on 4th down. It wasn't like 4th and 1 where you're just going for a little,
Tush push.
Push, something like that. Like they were aggressive down the stretch in some of their play calling, and then they also, kicked a field goal when surprisingly many people thought, hey, they're going to go for it here. But they kicked the field goal to, obviously not have the game tied at 3. But that run, the Fernando Mendoza run for the touchdown, that's the iconic moment in college football.
Oh, yeah. It'll be
season.
shown every time there's a highlight build-up to a national championship game. That'll be one of the first plays shown.
That guy's arm afterwards, Holly Rowe had snapped some photos of it up close. It was just mangled. It was like bruised and scratched. And, I mean, that guy, he comes across such like, aw shucks, kind of just a good old boy. But he is as tough as nails.
Yeah, he
man.
got popped in the first quarter in the mouth and enjoyed it. It seemed like he wanted some more.
Sure. Yeah, maybe it's a little bit of motivation. I don't know, but it didn't seem to work for Miami. If they wanted to rough him up and think that was the path to a victory, but it didn't work. It didn't phase him. His numbers weren't great, but a lot of the stuff that they run, it seems like it's just back shoulder fades. A lot of that. And
I
some
think
of those weren't connected.
his tight end was a or maybe not tight end, wide receiver Becker. Was a hero.
Yeah,
I mean, that guy, the catches
great.
he made on 4th downs. Wow.
Yeah, very good stuff. So the question afterwards, I think, is because Cignetti was asked about it, and he kind of went to, hey, this means anything's possible. If we can do it, then anything is possible, for those that stick their nose down to the grindstone and just work. But I'm curious if you think that is true in college football. I know that there's been kind of a leveling of the playing field, and NIL and transfer portal has done that. So, everybody's a free agent every season, and whoever has the most amount of donors can pay the most and build a super team. But Indiana's not really built that way. Yeah. I mean, they do have portal guys, and I'm sure they have an ever-increasing NIL budget, especially with Mark Cuban as one of its, financiers. But like that, if you list like the top 10 schools that have NIL cash to spare, Indiana's not scratching that top 10. So like, is it really a leveling of the playing field, or are what we're seeing like the rise of the next great coach in college football, the next guy that's gonna work its way up through the shadow of Nick Saban and be a traditional or turn Indiana into now kind of a traditional powerhouse?
And time will tell, because I think what we're going to see is a number of programs try to use the Cignetti model and find
which is what, old guys?
Which is find a guy who's a winner at different levels, which, this guy was at where? IUPUI before he went to James Madison, and
Ooey Pooey is what we say.
Ooey Pooey, where he was mopping the floors and trying to recruit. But yeah, it's find that guy who is a winner. It doesn't matter if they've won at the biggest level and has that organizational skill that Cignetti has. And that was one thing when he was on Saban's staff at Alabama. He was their talent scout. He is a great talent evaluator.
That's huge, too.
And I think that's the big part of it, because now most of these major programs have a very NFL-like business model where they have a GM who's scouting the talent for him. Cignetti's doing it himself. So I'm saying, this is a long way of saying, I think a lot of programs will try this, but I just don't know that you can replicate it.
Right.
If you don't have that right person at the top.
It's not like baseball where you kind of have like a sabermetric that other GMs and front office guys can kind of copy once they have the recipe, the Billy Bean type of thing. It's not like that. So this is all pure like talent evaluation, which clearly Cignetti has, to be able to find the guys that really fit his system. And so I think it starts with knowing the system that you're running and knowing exactly what those pieces will look like in it. And so maybe you don't need a guy that runs a 4.340, but you do need guys that are sure-handed or better, run crisper routes, and maybe some of those numbers aren't initially eye-popping. Obviously, they didn't have all the 4 and 5 stars that some of the other schools have, And I feel like sometimes in recruiting, it does become like, oh, this guy's recruited by Bama and Ohio State and all these big high echelon schools, and so everybody kind of chases those guys, thinking, oh, they're really good. And that's not to say that they're not talented, but they may not be the best fit for the system that you're running, and it takes someone that's a unique talent evaluator like Cignetti to be able to do that. So I don't know that it means that this is to me, Indiana's win does not mean anybody can win. I think NIL opens the door for more schools, clearly. But I think what Cignetti has done is unique, and I don't expect other teams to be able to pull off exactly what we saw in the Hoosiers this year.
One more quick thought. What I do wonder, though, is because of, yes, this year's team did not have a lot of 4 and 5 stars, but because of what he has shown Indiana can be capable of, and now you mentioned the backing of people like Cuban, what if you give this guy a blank check and he recruits or buys or hires the 5 stars? Are we looking at the beginning of a dynasty? You could see that.
Yeah. I just envision Cignetti kind of going into Mark Cuban's office like Shark Tank music coming on. Dun 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 dun. And for that reason, I am out. Yeah. So what does it say about Miami? Because they kind of do it a different way. Excellent recruiter, Mario Cristobal, but they get the guys that everybody wants, those high 4, 5-star recruits. I mean, talent-wise, like physically dominant, imposing-looking team. They fit the bill. But do you think that what Cristobal has built is something that is repeatable, that's built to last, moving forward, not just this year with kind of the stars aligning?
I do, because I am a believer in how he builds a roster, which is in the trenches, at the lines of scrimmage. And I think if you can continue doing that and getting the talent around it, Malachi Toney is going to come back, but if you have those kinds of weapons, but if you build in the trenches like he does, I think they can sustain success. Boy, that was pretty cruel what they did to Duke in the last hours of the transfer portal, just ripping Darren Mensah away to become Miami's probably their next quarterback next year.
Now we got a lawsuit coming out.
Yeah, probably some of that. But, I mean, do you agree with me there that this isn't a one-off for Miami? And Cristobal's obviously had some criticism in the past for game management and that kind of game, but you can't deny that the guy is a good coach.
No, I think he's a great coach, and I think he's an even better recruiter, and he knows how to build a team, a championship-winning team, because you're right, it does start in the trenches, and he's done that wherever he's gone. He's an O-line guy, so he thinks that way, and he builds that way, and if you have really good guys in the trenches, it's a lot easier to recruit the other skill positions as well, because you're going to give them an opportunity to flourish. I definitely believe in Cristobal. I mean, I have seen since he stepped on campus there, him completely turn that program around. I mean, just the amount of top end recruiting classes he's gotten in, I think 3 seasons. This was his 3rd year. I mean, when he took over for Manny Diaz, it was just kind of the name Miami, but it wasn't the product that people that remember from 20 years ago, where it was like all these.
You didn't have Michael Irvin on the sidelines.
Nah, yeah, the mascot.
Yeah.
I definitely believe that they're back, and I think Cristobal is he has done a great job, and I think they're going to plug guys in right away for everybody that is leaving. So, but what about the argument that could be made for expansion based on Miami, because they just squeak in, right? I mean, I'm sure Notre Dame still sitting there being like, well, we could have made the national championship too if you let us in.
Right.
But they barely got in. They slipped up a little bit earlier in the season. Does this make that case a lot easier to make now? To say, hey, we need to move to 16. We need to move to whatever it is, 14, 16. I guess Big Ten is pitching 24.
Right.
But do you think that needs to happen now because of teams like Miami, a hot running team at the end of the season?
I don't, because I think the committee made the right choice, and Miami kind of backed that up. I think it would be a little knee-jerk to say because of this instance where Miami almost got left out, and look at the run they went on. I mean, as you mentioned, Notre Dame could have gone on a run. I mean, other school, Texas possibly could have. They were playing well at the end of the season. So I would not want expansion just because we almost left a Miami out. Although you will have people making that case. Right now the stalemate is between the Big Ten and the SEC over how to expand. Are we going to 16 or 24? As you mentioned, Big Ten wants 24, SEC wants 16. They like that model where you still get 5 automatic bids from the 5 highest-ranked conference champions and then 11 at large. So it looks like, because those two that have the controlling interest of the playoff can't agree, that we're going to stay at 12 for a bit. I thought 12 worked out really well this year.
Final thought. You've now had 3 consecutive Big Ten national champions. What is the best conference in college football?
I mean, you got to say it's the Big Ten. And I know I've heard, SEC backers say, well, Big Ten's top heavy. Well, maybe a little, but in the past when Alabama or Georgia were dominating, you could have said that about the SEC. The SEC was top heavy many of those years when, programs like Florida were down. Some of your traditional powerhouses were down. So I do think you have to say with 3 national champions in a row, and also how their other teams performed in the playoff and in the major bowl games outside of the playoff, that it is the toughest conference.
I'm still not convinced,
No?
And you're the SEC homer, so I shouldn't be making this point for you. But I still think SEC top to bottom best conference. The most intriguing matchups, the better talent from top to bottom. I think they finished with 7 schools ranked in the top 15. So I don't put a lot of stock into the bowl matchups because I think half these rosters aren't even fully stocked, and even if they are, there is the attitude of, I don't know if we're going to try as hard. This game, if we're not playing in the playoff, then what am I going to give, right? Like maybe you could have made that case about the Vandy-Iowa matchup here. Like, I don't know. To me, Vandy was a better team during the regular season than Iowa, but Iowa beats them here in Tampa. So I don't know. I think SEC still has more depth. But yes, Big Ten, top heavy. You got Ohio State, Indiana, Oregon, probably top 3. Next tier is USC, and Michigan's right in there. And
put Iowa in there too.
Iowa, Washington. Yeah. So, but I love it. I like the conversation of which one's the strongest. I'd love to see, the ACC kind of now rise up and the Big 12 rise up, because I think it's better across the board, no matter if you're a homer for a certain conference, when all these conferences have more depth and more national title contenders. That's better for the sport.
Yeah, we need the Pac-12 back. Bring back the Pac.
Your lips to God's ears. Let's bring him back. All right. Coming up next on the other side, we got Nick Shook with us, NFL.com contributor, and we are going to break down what's going on in the NFL, both on the coaching carousel side of things and these big-time matchups this weekend in the conference championship. Stick around.
You mind if I take a break and sit that interview out with Nick?
Welcome back to the No Off Days podcast. The NFL is cooking right now. We got conference championships this weekend and just all kinds of craziness in the coaching vacancy world. It seems by every day there's another head coaching vacancy, and then one gets filled. And still in Tampa, still looking for some assistants to fill out this roster of coaches. We are privileged to welcome in our first guest this week on the No Off Days podcast. He is Nick Shook from NFL.com. Well, Nick, I appreciate you taking some time with us today. And as I understand, you are based in Cleveland. So this first question has to do with your coverage map there. Of course, Kevin Stefanski taking the Atlanta Falcons job. And, here in Tampa Bay, we see Baker Mayfield engaging with a tweet that kind of went viral here. An Atlanta-based sports writer kind of goes through the list of all Stefanski's quarterbacks that didn't work out in Cleveland and used the word failed when referring to Baker Mayfield. And, of course, Baker hops on and defends himself and throws the old pal reference in there and, said he was treated like a piece of garbage, shipped off, and he's looking forward to the 2 meetings. So I'm curious your read on that situation because I was a little bit closer to you.
Yeah, the old I'm not your pal, buddy. I'm not your buddy, amigo type of situation with Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
Like this is a part of Baker that has always existed in him from his time with the Browns all the way through now. There was his famous kind of back and forth with the local beat writer in Cleveland, Tony Grossi. And now he, is holding people accountable when they take, kind of a dig at him. I think that what he ultimately tried to do is set the record straight, because let's think about what happened when Baker left Cleveland. Before he made his way on his meandering journey to Carolina, then LA, then to Tampa, where he is now the franchise quarterback of the Buccaneers, he was essentially an afterthought because everybody was too distracted or focused on the Browns pursuing Deshaun Watson and, acquiring him via a trade that required 3 first-round picks, a guaranteed $230 million contract over 5 years. People forgot about Baker. He was the footnote. He was unceremoniously traded to Carolina. So the details of this kind of were lost in the shuffle. So I think it was completely in Baker's right to stand up for himself and, give us a little peek behind the curtain, a little bit of details into how, his time in Cleveland ended. And obviously we see that, he still doesn't feel very good about what happened with the Browns. This is not the first time that he's spoken about, disliking Cleveland because of how it ended, but it was probably the most emphatic way so far. I would love it if there was a tell-all, because I would really love to know exactly. Now that Kevin Stefanski's out of the Browns and he's with Atlanta, I would love to know the tell-all, but I think we're going to cover this a couple of times in the upcoming season when Stefanski's Falcons take on Baker's Bucks.
I could just imagine like Stefanski reading the tweet and being like, well, wait a minute, I didn't say that you failed. No, maybe his actions dictated that.
But he also maybe didn't call him after he left.
Yeah, that seems to be the case. What do you make of, since now Baker gets to square off with him twice a year, of that fit, that hire in Atlanta?
I think it makes sense for the Falcons for what they are trying to accomplish and achieve with Michael Penix. It is going to be interesting to see how the defense holds up, because that was the strength of this Falcons team, especially down the stretch in Raheem Morris' second season. It's part of why I thought they probably should have kept Raheem, not necessarily because his visible ceiling as a head coach is lower than what you might strive for, but because the defense, which is what he was brought in to, fix, made significant strides in the second season. And the big issue with them was their offensive inconsistency. I thought that they could basically get away with a change at offensive coordinator, keep the status quo. This is a team that won their last 4 games of the regular season, and they were definitely playing for Raheem through the end. So now that Stefanski is in there, it's kind of an ideology shift. You have an offensive-minded coach. He's bringing his offensive coordinator with him. He's bringing Bill Callahan, who did a great job with the Browns' offensive line, which led to Nick Chubb's great success on the ground a few years ago, all to Atlanta. This all bodes well for their offense. This is going to fix what the issue was. But does the defense take a step back now? Do they experience some significant change, or are they able to kind of maintain what they did really well over the last season? Because, anytime there's a regime change, there's an identity shift in one way or another, and usually one side of the ball or the other side suffers. But I do think that it was the right hire for the Falcons to make. Other than John Harbaugh, Stefanski was the best remaining candidate out there. He was probably the second one if you look at all of them in total, entering this coaching cycle, before it got additionally spicier and spicier as more coaches, shockingly got fired or stepped down. And I think it's the right decision for them, in terms of needing a leader. This is 2-time coach of the year who has been through the fire multiple times with a franchise that, frankly, has been terrible since they returned in 1999. So it's the right fit. We'll see what it means for Penix in the long term, because if they're going to be a successful franchise, it's going to have to depend heavily on Michael Penix.
One of the big fish in this coaching cycle, Mike McDaniel, has reportedly been linked to the LA Chargers offensive coordinator position. And, he had interviewed for a handful of head coaching jobs, including one up there in Cleveland. Your thought on this as a career move for McDaniel and the fit with Justin Herbert and company?
I was hoping that he would end up in Detroit, because this is a run game, aficionado. This is a guy who, was behind the 49ers propelling unnamed or unknown running backs to great success in the earlier days of the Kyle Shanahan era. You think about, how did Raheem Mostert become a name that we knew? Because of San Francisco. And you can continue to go down. There's a long list of guys who found success. Matt Breida being another one, Elijah Mitchell. So I think that it would have fit perfectly with Montgomery and Gibbs in Detroit. And ultimately, it seems as though the front office didn't feel as if he was the perfect fit for Dan Campbell's staff. So he ends up going to the Chargers, who I think this is the perfect fit for them as well, because what the Chargers were as an offense under Greg Roman was, this is a guy who found a lot of success with Colin Kaepernick as a runner, with Lamar Jackson as a runner. He's a ground-focused guy, but his passing game was always very lacking. There was just a lack of creativity. There wasn't a lot of ingenuity with route combinations. It was all very simple. And if you look at that wild card weekend loss to New England, they got good receivers that are never open. Yes, Justin Herbert didn't have time to throw, but none of the guys are getting open either because I think it was just kind of a bland passing attack under Greg Roman. Mike McDaniel fixes that. He brings in the history that he has with the running game. You got Omarion Hampton there. You got Kamani Vidal. You hopefully get your fully healthy offensive line back, and you can hit the ground running on the ground, but it's also going to open up the passing game. Let's think about all of the creativity that we've seen in the NFL with pre-snap motion. It was all in Kansas City with Andy Reid, and it was all with Mike McDaniel in Miami. If you play Madden, for example, the entire Dolphins playbook is just filled with orbit motion because that's a staple of Mike McDaniel's offense. And I think that it's going to open up this offense, which is desperately what the Chargers need because they've been a tough team. They've been a team that plays pretty good defense. They're going to win with physicality, but their offense has been lacking. Ultimately, at the end of this season, it was because of the offensive line. But overall, you add this mind into the mix, I think they have the talent to take multiple steps forward, and he's the guy for them.
Yeah, I agree. McDaniel was reportedly the top target for the Buccaneers and their offensive coordinator opening. Curious how appealing you think that job is comparatively, and also of the mix of guys that are still out there that they've interviewed, is there anybody that you think is head and shoulders better?
Well, I mean, Joe Brady's out there, and since Sean McDermott got fired in Buffalo, Brian Dable is trying to get a head coaching job, so I don't think that he's necessarily available unless nothing becomes open.
So, like they've interviewed like the likes of Todd Monken obviously has been linked to potentially the Browns head coaching job and the Giants, but you got Callahan out there that they've interviewed. Dan Pitcher, Cincinnati Bengals offensive coordinator, does not call plays. Zach Robinson, former Falcons OC. So, I mean, is there one of those guys that you think could revitalize their career calling plays with Baker Mayfield and company?
I think I would not want Zach Robinson after what I saw from the Falcons this season. There was a lack of leaning on your best playmakers. Of these offensive coordinators, you think about Todd Monken and what he did to elevate the Ravens offense in his first couple of years there, especially. It got them out of the mud that they were stuck in with Greg Roman. And Monken's got a lot of experience both at the collegiate and professional levels. I don't really think that he's going to end up getting a head coaching job unless one of these last vacancies get kind of desperate. And so I think that would be a really ideal fit. You continue to go down the list and you think about Dan Pitcher, like you said, doesn't call plays. Brian Callahan, I felt like he was a good play caller that was never suited to be a head coach. And we saw how he washed out of Tennessee. So maybe that makes sense. Mike Kafka did a good job as the interim head coach, and you can kind of look at him as a potential long-term candidate. It's like that whole crop of younger, like former quarterback types who are kind of pushing the narrative forward. You think about like Davis Webb being another one who is a candidate for that. But ultimately, when you talk about this job and how attractive it is, you have to think about who do you have at weapons, right? Mike Evans, is he coming back? What's going on? Is his career basically done? It kind of feels like him and Levante David are both kind of like maybe come back for one more, but we're hitting the tail end of that. Is Chris Godwin ever going to be able to be a consistent contributor for this team because he wasn't in this offense this past season? Came back from that injury, kind of struggled to get on the right track, but they have a lot of talent. I mean, you still have Emeka Egbuka, you still have McMillan, you still have Bucky Irving and Rashad White and that type of collective group. What's most important to me is getting healthy and then marrying it with the right coordinator. Now I think about it more, I think Monken could be the guy. He would probably be my favorite with Baker Mayfield.
Just to this weekend's games, the two conference championship games, obviously the Broncos dealt a significant blow with Bo Nix out due to the ankle injury. What do you think of that Broncos-Patriots championship matchup?
It's kind of strange that Sean Payton, who... he's one to do this, but he has a quiet confidence, or maybe even a little bit more than quiet confidence in Jarrett Stidham. And I urge those who don't know much about Jarrett Stidham to go back and watch preseason 2025 football, where I found myself in August, and where myself and the host of NFL Daily, the podcast that I'm on with Greg Rosenthal, we both agreed that Jarrett Stidham was the preseason MVP across the entire league. That's how well he played. He does have some starting experience. It was with the lowly Raiders. He began his NFL career with the Patriots, so there's a bit of a revenge element there. So it is fascinating. But a guy coming off of the bench who hasn't seen the field all year still makes you wonder, are they going to be able to find the success offensively that they did with Bo Nix? I think that they'll be able to stay in the same general sort of offense that they did with Bo, maybe a little bit less running for Stidham than they did with Bo, not quite the same runner. has a big arm, can throw the ball down the field. They have talent at receiver. They will be able to do that. I'm worried, though, that when you have a backup come in, you think about how do you insulate him? You do it by establishing the ground game and leaning on the ground game. And all you have right now is rookie R.J. Harvey. You got Jaleel McLaughlin, who they don't like to really go to for some reason. Tyler Bidet is on that roster, and you're hoping, probably not, but J.K. Dobbins, his involvement, because they had opened his window, right, to return. And then you think about, all right, you lean on the tight end, and you can do that with them for the most part, but I think it still is a bit of a lower ceiling operation. The good thing, though, for the Broncos and their fans, they have a good defense, obviously. They lead the NFL in sacks. They are very opportunistic on that side of the ball. It's not as stifling as the Houston defense was, but it's comparable in some ways. And if you can get Jarrett Stidham to play at CJ Stroud's level, which was very low in that game against the Patriots last week, or better, which I would expect Stidham to play slightly better, if not much better than that, then I think that you have a fighting chance. The other big question mark in this game is, does that Patriots defense that's playing the best football of the entire season right now, do they continue to find that success on the road in Mile High? They're not with the backing of the Gillette fans anymore, which has been a raucous environment in their first 2 playoff games. And can that Denver defense interrupt Drake May? He has not been stellar for all 4 quarters in these first 2 playoff games, but he's made the key plays when it's mattered. Can the Broncos tilt that scale in their favor, or are they going to, fall victim to the Drake May experience that has been the 2025 season? We'll see how that plays out.
On the other side, Seahawks, they looked almost unstoppable. If they perform like that against the 49ers this week against the Rams, man, look out. But the third meeting between these 2 teams in the division, how do you think this one shakes out?
They did look unstoppable. They look like everybody's favorite to win the Super Bowl right now because recency bias always matters when it comes to the playoffs. Oh, I just saw this team dominate this other team. They look like world beaters. They're going to beat everybody, right? And that's fair because they did. And they didn't even have to really give that much of an effort. And it all starts with their defense. It is the best remaining defense in the NFL. Them and Houston were neck and neck for the title of the best defense in the NFL. Houston was better in terms of yards. Seahawks were better in terms of points allowed. I love that the direction that this defense is headed under Mike McDonald. They have the most creative scheme, the way they disguise coverages, the way they bring pressure when they do want to blitz, which they don't blitz very often because they get an organic pass rush with just 4, which is rare in the NFL, and that's usually what separates the average from the great. And so I think that's going to be their strength. They also have had a very good running game over the last roughly 10 weeks of the season. Kenneth Walker being the lead bell cow in that. Charbonnet down with an injury now, so that's going to get a little bit, you're going to put more on Walker's shoulders. The big question with this one, though, is do you have to rely on Sam Darnold? I don't care about the oblique, issue that everybody was worried about last week. He looked just fine to me in the divisional round win over the 49ers. But do you have to ask him to make plays when it matters most? Because in the 2 games they've played against the Rams, a lot of that story has been Darnold making mistakes. Throwing interceptions in the first game at SoFi Stadium in Inglewood, California. Throwing interceptions and just making mistakes in the game in Seattle before he woke up and threw them back into the game into a thrilling victory that ranks among my top five greatest games of the 2025 season. Which version of Sam are we getting? Because those are kind of similar. Do you need to rely on that version of Sam? That'll basically answer all the questions you need, because on the Rams side, I know largely what I'm going to get from Matthew Stafford, although his accuracy has waned in the last couple of games. I think that finger is still bothering him. You know what you have in Devontae Adams, Puka Nacua, that whole Kyron Williams, that whole group. And you know that the defense, the front 4 is their strength. The linebackers have been pretty solid. And the secondary just happened to have their best game of the season in the divisional round to beat the Bears. It's going to be a knockdown, drag-out fight between 2 division rivals. It's always hard to beat a team twice, right? That's what they say. Well, one of those teams is going to have to do it because this is the 3rd time they've played this season. And a trip to the Super Bowl on the line, this is the matchup that we should have gotten in the NFC. These are the 2 best teams in the NFL, in my opinion. They're better than either AFC qualifier. And I hate to, kind of put a damper on the Super Bowl, but whoever wins this game is going to be my pick to win the Super Bowl as well.
Yeah, I'm with you. You can catch him at NFL.com, a handful of podcasts, including the Gridiron podcast with our very own Sean Barry. But if you want to catch his daily thoughts, head over to X. He is at the Nick Shook. Nick, we appreciate your time.
Thank you so much for having me.
Great insights from Nick. All right, coming up on the other side, it's time to put your cowboy hat on, your Wranglers, and buckle in, baby. We're going to do some bull riding.
All right,
Are you
let's
ready?
go.
You ready for this? We got Grayson Cole, professional bull rider, our guest next. Welcome back to the No Off Days podcast. I've been looking forward to this interview, Chris, because I don't think I've ever interviewed a professional bull rider. And we're about to, because we have a big event coming to Tampa this weekend. It's the PBR Premier Tour, returning for the first time in like 13 years in the Tampa Bay area, and they're about to put on a show. They will unleash the beast. Are you ready for this?
Which beast is getting unleashed? I'm a little worried here.
Not on the streets of Tampa.
Okay, all right.
I think they won't be like running of the bulls in Pamplona. Our guest, we are pleased to welcome into the No Off Days podcast, Grayson Cole. He is a professional bull rider. Grayson, welcome on in. I know you're not in Tampa yet, but we are excited to have you. This is what, the sixth? It'll be the sixth event this year. How's the season going for you so far?
Oh, it's been great. We're looking forward to coming back to Tampa. I know most of us are excited to get to Florida for some good weather and hopefully some sold-out crowds. We love coming to events and putting on a great show for everybody, so we're excited for it.
Just help us get. Scott and I are the same. We've never interviewed a professional bull rider before. This is a treat. Help us to get into the mindset of when we watch what you do and what you guys do. I mean, talk about extreme sports. I could never. I mean, I cannot think of any reason I would want to climb on.
You can't even ride a mechanical bull.
I cannot. I did ride a mechanical alligator in Florida last year, though, Grayson. Stayed on for a whopping 4 seconds. But so you started out in, Western Pennsylvania isn't exactly West Oklahoma. How do you decide that, hey, I want to get on the back of that monstrosity and see how long I can hold on?
Honestly, for me, it was a God-given thing because, like, my family didn't rodeo. I didn't grow up around it or anything. My family took me to rodeos when I was a little kid, and ever since I was 3, my mom said I was running around the house yelling that I wanted to be a professional bull rider and a world champion one day. So, and being at 3 years old and knowing that's what I wanted to do, I mean, there's no other reason other than God that put that plan for me. So it's just kind of one of those deals. It takes a lot though for us to do this sport. I mean, it's kind of one of those things. You got to have a nick for it. There's got to be a switch in your brain that flips whenever you go to do it.
Well, take us back to 3-year-old Grayson here, because traditional sports, baseball has Little League, and football has like Pee Wee League. But how do you, and when can you actually get started, like getting on top of a bull, or is there like a lead up to it as a youngin coming up in the sport?
A goat, a sheep? What do you hop on?
A dog?
Yeah, So I started off in the sheep riding when I was a kid, and then we do have. There's a bunch of different we call them youth rodeo associations that are going on all over across this country and everything, where you get on like junior bulls, junior steers, and then you kind of work your way up. I think I got on my first big bull when I was 12 or 13, but all before then, I got on my first we'll call live cattle when I was 7, which was like a little beef Angus calf, and then just kind of worked the way up through the ranks and all the way up to the top now.
Wow. And what a journey you've had. You won the Velocity Tour in 2024. I mean, that had to be kind of life-changing. I saw a post on Instagram. You were holding up a big check, $50,000 bonus, and someone said, about time that you get out of that Toyota Camry. Do you still have the Toyota Camry?
I still got the Camry. I still drive it to this day.
Nice. So how do you mentioned kind of the flip, the switch has to flip. Like, what is that? Like, is it just an immense amount of fear that you just have to overcome because you've done it before? Is it like, do you have to kind of fill your body with like rage and anger? Like what is that switch that flips?
The funny thing is, for each guy, it's kind of different. Some guys go about it as a calm, cool, and collected guy, and other guys, you'll see them slapping themselves in the face. It's kind of one of those things. Each guy's got their own nick to it. But for me, I'm pretty calm, cool, and collected. I get my motor running when I crawl off in the Buckin shoe. Like that's when my flip gets switched.
I hear you,
man.
What worst injury you've had?
I've been very fortunate. I think probably the worst ones that I've had is probably concussions, and I broke a couple ribs before, broken my ankles 3 different times, stitches in my face, kind of. But there are some way worse stories than mine.
Yeah.
We for those of us that don't know, these, there's an aspect of it where you wonder how these bulls get so wrangled up. And just the kind of what goes into all of that. So take us through it. When you're in the chute, they have a way of getting the bulls a little testy, as you were.
Yeah, well, we don't really need to get them testy. They're all the bulls are bred for it. The stock contractors that have these bulls, especially at the event that's coming to Tampa, these are going to be the best bulls in the world. So all these bulls it's pretty much like the racehorse game. Like, they're all bred to run for all of these, any bulls anymore nowadays. They're all bred to do what they're doing.
To throw people off of their backs.
Yes, yeah. And these guys that own them, they spend as much as you would on a house to buy one single bull. So they are pampered and cared for like you wouldn't understand. I got 3 practice bulls in my house, and I pamper mine pretty well. So we like taking care of them and making sure that they're feeling their best and everything, because in the end, the bulls are in competitions themselves too, because they are half of our score. So the stock contractors want to bring the best bulls and want to have their best outs on them. So they make sure that they're in 100% tip-top shape for when they come to town.
I love their names. I'm reading a list here. Man-hater, Chiseled, Spotted Demon, Mossy Oak, Mudslinger. What did you name your home bulls? And then, let's go back to that too. You have how many people say they have practice bulls in their home?
There's a lot more than you think, but I got a bull named Boogeyman, and then I got one called Hot and Bothered.
Are these real animals in your home, or are these like mechanical ones?
No, they're real. I got them. They're sitting in a pasture outside of my house right now.
What is the meanest, baddest bull that's going to be in Tampa this weekend?
Honestly, I don't know. I haven't gotten the draw sheet yet, so I haven't been able to look.
Do you guys still do rodeo clowns? I think my co-host would be a great. I think he could fit the bill if you're looking for any celebrity rodeo clowns.
I'm not fast enough to get away from those horns.
No, yeah. Well, it is exciting to have this come to Tampa. What is the kind of the bull riding fan base like here in Florida? I would assume everywhere you go, you find that crop of fans that loves the sport and is going to show out. But what's the Florida crew like?
Every event is pretty much the same. I mean, everybody, all walks of life you'll see at events. I mean, you'll see from people that are veterans coming to our events or people that are first timers coming to our events. So I think everybody just enjoys being able to have a night to let loose and kind of see some guys like a last gladiator sport. It's kind of is what it's coming down to. And I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to being in Florida with the warm weather and looking forward to hopefully being able to sign some autographs for some fans, because that's probably the best part of it every time.
Man, it's gonna be a great time. Grayson Cole, professional bull rider, the PBR Premier Tour, Unleash the Beast, coming to Tampa this weekend. Get your tickets; they are available, I believe, PBR.com and Ticketmaster.com, if I'm not mistaken. Grab them now.
Yes, sir.
And fill Benchmark International Arena as they're filling it with 750 tons of dirt, Chris. You know that?
Where are they shipping that in from? Just dredging it out of the bay, huh?
It's gonna be quite the event. Grayson, all the best this weekend, man, and thanks for spending some time with us.
Thank you guys for having me on. It was a great opportunity.
Good stuff, man.
Thanks, Grayson.
You got to be tough, man. You got to be tough as nails to do that, Chris. I don't even think we'd make it as rodeo.
No, there was a movie came out last year. I didn't see it. The Last Rodeo, about this kind of grizzled retired bull rider that gets back into it. I bet the career lifespan of a bull rider can't be that long.
It's a young man's.
My
game.
back hurts just watching.
Just thinking about it. Yeah. My knee. All right. Coming up on the other side, it's time to dive into our fun block. BK is with us on the other side as we get these whiteboards out for another rousing edition of the Fun Block with Mr. Fun.
See how long we can hold on.
It is time to dial up the Fun Block, Chris. Let's welcome folks back to the Nod Pod, and it's time for Mr. Fun himself, Brian King. Brian, what's the game, BK?
Play the percentages. You remember this game from a while back?
How could I forget?
Yeah.
This is one where you were like, what? How many dimples on a golf ball?
One of the most shameful performances in Fun Block history for me.
Well, that was
the amount of
dimples on
balls.
the golf ball
No,
was,
it was the amount of baseballs used in a baseball game.
was like closest to.
Oh,
the
right.
pin.
You said like 12 baseballs.
I was thinking my kid's Little League game. Yeah.
Oh,
no.
that was closest to the pin, though.
Yeah.
See,
This is
Oh,
all,
that's not this.
okay.
This was the one about. This is where Cato said what he did. What percentage of people go to the bathroom before they go to the
Who
gym?
could forget?
Oh.
That's
Yeah.
where Cato. Was
That was
about.
memorable, yeah.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Big deucer. All right, here we go.
Got to get it
Okay.
out.
We got the open. Remember this open? I saved that. So
Oh,
let's roll
beauty.
the open. Yeah.
Let's do it.
And there we go. See, fancy.
Oh, look at that.
That's the best AI has ever done for us.
I
now.
think so.
My jawline hasn't looked that good since 21.
There you go. Play the percentages.
We're
all
wearing
right?
the same suit. I like
Yeah,
that.
we are.
Yeah.
First question. You ready? Very simple. What percentage of Americans believe that the Earth is flat?
Too many.
Just need a percentage. Write down a percentage on your whiteboard. Closest to it without, you can go over. We'll
Okay.
count that. It's not
Okay.
Price is Right.
It's not Price is Right.
Not Price
Okay.
is Right. What you got? Cato?
I put 3%.
I put 12%.
That can't be. That's got to be way too high.
That's way too high. Chris is the winner. He got 2%. Firm believers.
Hang on, wait. No, I said
Oh,
He said 1.2%.
I said 1.2.
Where that decimal wasn't there before.
yeah, 2% believe the Earth is actually flat.
Yeah, but the other 10% aren't answering your silly question because they probably are too suspicious of whatever that question is.
Too embarrassed.
They don't want to fall off the edge of the earth.
All right. Next one here. What percentage of Americans believe the home they live in is haunted?
Oh, okay.
Okay, all right.
What percentage believes their home is haunted? It's kind of
Okay,
I'm
reveal
gonna
your
say
answers.
this is a little higher. I'm going to go 10%.
I went $1 shorter. I went 9%.
ooh. The correct answer is 18% of Americans
Golly,
How many
18%?
really?
believe their current home is haunted. A larger portion, like a quarter, 25% believe they've been in a home before and it's been possessed.
Possessed.
Wow.
Now, see, no, I wouldn't mess around with that. That would not. Here you go, buddy.
No.
That wouldn't be my current home anymore.
Well, you know how difficult the rates are these days.
Oh yeah,
The lending
actually true.
practices, it's
If
very
there
difficult.
if there were a poltergeist in my my home, I'd probably
now
just
imagine
have to
trying
stick
to
it
sell
out.
your home if you have to disclose that.
Oh
you know?
yeah, that demonic voice coming from the attic. Don't worry about that.
No.
That's just grandma. We keep her up there.
Claim it as a
Wait.
dependent.
Grandma lives there. Grandma died 17 years ago, actually.
She's a dependent.
Yes.
Yeah.
But just the pendant part. All right.
all right.
Those are fun. How about this one? What percentage of people actually believe that extraterrestrials are currently living among us disguised as humans?
Well, I know one I work with.
I know.
This is also going to be higher than it should.
Disguised as humans.
The lizard people, right?
No, well, I know the Greys.
The Greys, but they're the lizard people
Is
too.
that then the lizards?
Yeah.
And then what else? There's the Greens, I think.
Yeah.
Is there the Greens?
Then you have the Browns.
What's the one
don't
with
wanna see
the
a
big
brown.
the big eyeball head with the big giant eyes?
He's the Gray.
what?
Yeah, he's the Gray. The ones with the big. Where's Chris Griffin? He knows all of these.
Yeah.
What are the ones that disguise themselves as Sasquatch and other cryptids?
It's reptilians.
The lizard people. I'm going to say
okay.
this is
Anyway.
stupidly high.
Let's see, we got a theme here. They live amongst us. I'm gonna say, golly. If it's any higher than this, I'll be disappointed.
What you say?
I got 5%.
Cato?
I went 7.
33%
Get outta here.
of people.
Who did you survey? Did you
the-
just survey
the newsroom.
the guys in the control room there?
Yeah, Griffin's family.
Yes, 33% believe that aliens are currently living among us. Most of them believe that they, let's see, general recent survey says around 56% believe that aliens definitely exist, and 65% believe that intelligent life exists in other planets.
Okay, hang on. Straw poll. If it's 33%, that means 1 out of every 3.
Right.
We got 3 people
I'm
in
stepping.
this. We got 3 people in this studio. Okay. Rochelle,
She's already got her hand up.
Oh my gosh! She said yes. It is. It's 1 out of every 3.
She's the one. This does not surprise me.
Okay, but I'm curious, like, what is the how do you not identify them? They masquerade as human beings?
Well, you've seen Men in Black, right? They take on our form, and only certain people can see them. If that were true, 1 in 3, you've got aliens in Congress. You've got aliens in.
Well, you've seen the videos, right?
You've got aliens in the Baseball Hall of Fame, probably.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, you thought it was PEDs.
Yeah.
Oh wait, what's Chris Griffin
Chris
saying?
says we've been visited.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know he has.
I know.
I know that.
How do you know? Did he tell you about his probing?
I mean, what's he saying? Don't let him zap you
back there.
Yeah, don't let him
Watch
zap
out
you
for
with
him.
that Men in Black
The
thing.
mind eraser.
Yeah. And can I have your little?
Oh yeah, sorry, buddy.
Snot rag.
Yep.
Good job, guys.
Golly.
How about this one?
I'm whiffing on all of these.
Of those who believe aliens are on Earth, what percentage suspect them as being their boss? This is actually
like their at-work boss?
Their at-work boss. Which one believes their boss is one of them?
We came to enslave the human race and run a really good
Now,
corporation.
Here's the thing.
These
I
are
don't.
33%. The people that believe aliens are living amongst us.
Right.
How many of those believe?
So
that
you're
one of
already
those-
dealing with
Yeah.
Okay. So I would say that they would probably think that the aliens that live among us are probably the most powerful and wealthy because they're operating on.
Hey! Let's don't color my answer here.
Okay.
You're giving me insight that I didn't have before.
All right, I'm gonna.
Since all of these are
Okay, are we
higher
ready?
than expected.
All right.
What do you say?
I said 54%.
Cato?
I said 25%.
39% believe that the aliens is their actual boss.
Okay, that's 14 higher than yours.
A third of them also believe that aliens are
You're
celebrities.
15 high. Yeah, so you win again.
I win again. I won
Of
again.
course.
How
Cato
about
knows
that?
all these
I'm an alien.
supernatural
That's why.
stats.
Yes.
So
I'm a
Brisky.
I'm a
Is
gray.
Brisky
Prove
an
that you're
alien?
not. Oh, Brisky.
How do you prove you're not an alien? That's a
First
good.
of all, I'm not answering that question.
Did he just ask if our boss is an alien?
Yeah, he did.
Don't BK.
That would be Brian King.
I'm just curious.
Next week's
Oh,
episode will
yeah.
be produced by Chris Griffin, the one who believes
Is
in
an actual
aliens.
alien? No, just kidding. Hey,
Oh, sorry. Can we get a box of tissues out there?
Okay, let's wrap it up with this one.
I want Griffin to answer this one for
Oh,
me.
okay. What percentage of parents admit to hiding in the bathroom just to get a moment of peace and quiet
This took a right turn.
This will be high.
away
I
from
can
the
take
kids?
No,
Okay, he said 9.
Tell Alien Lover to pipe down back there. We're trying to
Stay in your lane, buddy.
keep working on those death rays. Let's see.
What percentage they hide out in their bathroom to get away from their kids? And I would guess spouse would also count in this group.
Okay.
I don't hide, but I might just slow play a deuce. You know.
Yeah, right before the gym. All right, here we go. Every episode.
I would. Okay.
I got 85. Chris has 80.
I have 80.
It is 62%.
God, I missed every
Dang,
single
man.
one.
Oh, this worked out well for me.
Yeah, it sure did. He knows how to.
I'm a kid hiding alien lover.
Yeah, you are. That's what you needed. See, you're a week away. It refreshed you.
It did.
I got
you
in
came
touch
back ready
with
to-
all the weirdos that believe the Earth is flat.
Yeah, you're watching Ancient Aliens reruns.
How about that? A little insight to the
Yeah.
people we work with.
Yeah.
Boy.
Hey, BK, who do you think built the pyramids?
Dude, come on, man.
Come on, man.
You're kidding.
He's like, just say goodbye, okay? Why do
sounds
you gotta
like-
bring that up again?
Sounds like you guys may have discussed this
We
back
have.
in the
Yeah,
sports office
Brian,
before.
he loves talking about aliens, as you can see.
Or if Abraham Lincoln could survive. What was that talk?
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, my man's hating on Abe Lincoln.
No, you were, man.
Inferior knowledge. Yeah.
Thanks a lot, guys.
All right, very good. Thank you, BK. Well, that was fun. A good little show. Much thanks to our guest, Nick Shook, Grayson Cole, and best luck in Tampa riding them bulls. It's going to be a tough one. And much thanks to our crew here at NodPod headquarters. We got Rochelle, who believes in aliens, over here on the jib. We got Chris with a K, who also believes in aliens. For BK, who also believes in aliens. I don't know about Chris. I don't. I'm Scott. Until the next time we are on, there are no off days.
I'm a flat earther. No aliens. Good fall off.